All right, here we go. Several top Trump officials have reportedly had some of their personal data leaking online, adding to the fallout of the administration's Signal chat leak.
Peter Doocy joins us from the White House with more. Good morning, Peter.
Good morning. And among the top national security officials here who need to change their passwords this morning because theirs have now leaked online are the National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, the Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, and the Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. But those officials continue enjoying the backing of their boss.
It's all a witch hunt. Here we are talking about some of the greatest business deals ever made. The greatest companies in the world are moving into the United States, and you want to ask about whether or not Signal works. I don't know that Signal works. I think Signal could be defective, to be honest with you.
And you heard it there. The president is trying to move on to talk about other stuff like auto tariffs.
The mainstream media continues to be focused on a sensationalized story from the failing Atlantic magazine. If this story proves anything, it proves that Democrats and their propagandists in the mainstream media know how to fabricate, orchestrate, and disseminate a misinformation campaign quite well.
Elon Musk and the Doge guys are looking at tech flaws that could have allowed this to happen, but the Secretary of State doesn't think any damage was done sharing attack plans with a reporter.
The Pentagon says it was not, and not only did it say it was not, they make very clear that it didn't put in danger anyone's life or the mission. There was no intelligence information, and that's coming from the highest-ranking officials at the agency that was in charge of the actual operation.
That's their story, and they're sticking to it because the most classified stuff that exists, like the location of unit, the type of unit, the flight paths to target, was not ever shared on the Signal group chat, and because no U.S. service members were directly harmed because of it. Back to you.
So Peter, you started your report talking about how some of these top national security people, they've got their data leaked online where it's their names and it's their passwords and stuff like that. Most damaging, of course, is just the fact that it's Mike Waltz. Normally, somebody would take that kind of stuff down before a confirmation hearing, but he didn't go through that process. So maybe that's why it's still out there.
And kind of surprising because I remember during the first White House, the first Trump White House at one point, the press secretary, Sean Spicer, had his Venmo leak and people were sending him money with a nasty message or requesting money and stuff like that. So it's not the first time that this has happened. But it definitely is another headache. I think Mike Waltz has woken up with a headache every day this week.
Well, you can send me money with a nasty message anytime you want. Any leads on who could have leaked this information?
No, and it seems like they were using commercial apps like WhatsApp and Venmo, and it's easier to locate somebody kind of backwards. If you have their phone number, then you can go and try to find them on these apps, and it seems like that's what happened here. But it doesn't appear that anything sensitive has leaked. Just more of somebody's going to have to go through and change all their passwords on their personal phone today.
All right. Thanks, Peter.
Thanks, Peter.
So the thing is, they're moving at Trump. The good news for this story is they're moving at the so-called Trump speed. There is so much more going on. Number one, the attacks on the Houthis is continuing. The talks with Russia and Ukraine are continuing. That's going to be newsworthy. The president's tariffs are really newsworthy. But for the Democrats, they want to talk about this. Chuck Schumer wants to talk about anything but him, and they want to talk about this. The timing was fortuitous for Democrats because it was a time for them to meet with for the intelligence officials with the Trump team to meet with the House and Senate committees on intelligence to talk about the threats facing this country. If you look at the prepared remarks, you see we got a lot of threats and they have a plan to stop it. But none of those questions were about this. They want to gum up this administration with this story. Case in point, this guy, Jimmy Gomez, who should wake up embarrassed this morning because he took his time to tar and attack Pete Hegseth on something totally unsubstantiated. Listen.
You know whether Pete Hegseth had been drinking before he leaked classified information?
I don't have any knowledge of Secretary Hegseth's personal habits.
Director Radcliffe, same question. Yes or no?
You know, no, I'm going to answer that. I think that's an offensive line of questioning. The answer is no. I find it interesting that you want to. I'm going to answer. You asked me a question. You want an answer?
No, listen.
You don't want to focus on the good work that the CIA is doing. Was his performance compromised because of a successful strike?
I bring my.
You want to know? You want to talk about accepting responsibility? Do you think you should accept responsibility for a successful strike to make Americans safer?
These people are crazy. I mean, trying to create a moment. He looks terrible right there. There's no evidence to suggest that. By the way, the secretary has been open and transparent about him turning his life around, and he doesn't drink anymore. As a matter of fact, I was down there reporting in Texas. He was there, and I forgot all about it, and I said, we got to catch up over beers. And he was like, dude, I seriously don't drink anymore. So I just think it's terrible. Also, this is the party that has defended Hunter Biden, a drug addict, and defended him and said, don't attack people during their recovery, but now you want to go after the secretary where there's no evidence.
Well, you know what's interesting about the line of questioning from that particular Democrat member of Congress is it seems like they have based their questioning of a high-ranking government official on something that they've spotted online or on social media, because there was an image of Pete Hegseth drinking out of a glass, and it appeared to be like a dark liquid. It was a glass of water. It was an optical illusion. But instead of asking, hey, what was he drinking, they did it that way.
And also, how about the congressman saying, I'm reclaiming my time the second the CIA director starts to answer? That's not how it works. He needs to respond to the question. And then John Ratcliffe just actually absolutely took the congressman down. And you almost hate to defend the defense secretary from this line of questioning, because you don't even want to add legitimacy to this because it's so ridiculous. But this was an authorized use platform, a platform that the Biden administration used as well. And when the CIA director testified on Tuesday, he said the first thing that happened when I was sworn in as CIA director is that signal was uploaded to my computer.
It was right there.
So the use of the platform has been something that has happened for years. And now there will be a relook at maybe it shouldn't happen again. But it's not like they did anything wrong. And a lot is being focused now on what could have happened than what did happen, when what was shown in those messages is that the defense secretary, Pete Hegseth, organized a successful strike that took down terrorists.
I would just do the Brit Hume axiom, move on. You know, if something evolves, you do it, you move on, but there's so many other people in that press room. And I would say this, Lawrence, I think you know this. He never had a drinking problem. There were times where he drank too much. They drank too much.
But he just gave it up.
Right.
Completely.
Just totally. So there were no misspellings in that exchange. There was nothing that was bizarre. It was extremely official. I found it interesting. Normally you have to wait for the administration to end to find out about this type of insider give and take. So there was no reason to do that except for that smug attitude. You think you could take your shot and get your moment because no one's ever heard of you.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.